Hey, everybody. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Friday get together with Gail, Siobhan, and myself, sometimes Catherine, sometimes other people. And we get together every Friday just to talk about what's new and coming up with lipedema and any other interesting things you want to talk about. So be sure to put stuff in the comments. As Gail says, send us your love. And any comments and things you want us to discuss. We have a couple ideas of things we wanted to talk about. We were having a nice little discussion before we opened it up for everybody. But we're always open to whatever you might want to put in there. And we might even highlight your comment for everybody to see. So
we're just going to highlight the comma. That's all.
Just comma, none of the words. That's it.
I love it.
So we have a couple of events and things coming up. And so we're going to just share those with you. And then we thought we might discuss sometimes called KT tape, kinesio tape, sports tape, different taping things. And we're trying to say a brand always associated, but there's different taping techniques that might be helpful for lipedema. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, I'm doing a free webinar in 2 weeks on April 8th at 6 p.m. Eastern.
August 8th,
not August 8th. Last year in April, yes. We're going to coming up this August 8th, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going to be talking about optimal treatments for lipedema. If you are a certified lipedema therapist, and you are not sure what to do with your patients who have lipedema, what will be most helpful for them. If you have lipedema and you've been going to see a therapist and they're not sure what to do with you, well, come to this webinar and get a few ideas. So that's what I'll be talking about on August 8th.
Yeah, and I would say even if your lymphatic therapist does have some idea, I think it's worth going anyway because it's always helpful to have that refresher. And there's always gaps that can be filled. And at the webinars, there's always great Q&A, great discussion, great stuff in the comments too. So any and all lymphatic therapists or people interested in the overview of what can be done with a lymphatic therapist, I think will benefit a lot from this.
And you know what, I'll have a couple things of modalities and stuff that I'll be bringing up, but the best things happen in that Q&A and the discussion afterwards, because you come to the workshop, you will suggest something that I hadn't thought of. And now it could be discussed with everybody. So please be there to contribute to that.
You know, and I think about how when I became a teacher, I had all this theory and I had all these things that I did in school and, and everything. But I'll tell you what, when I got into the classroom, it was, they didn't teach that. I didn't learn anything in college. I learned everything in the classroom, right?
Yes.
And so I think about that with lymphatic therapists. It's like you really learn when you're talking to patients or when you're working with patients and other therapists. And so it's extraordinarily valuable to have that interaction.
Yeah. So please come. And then that is what we're doing in that discussion on August 8th is also, it's a little preview on the types of things you can expect at our September virtual event. Siobhan, you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing in September?
Yeah, so in September, and like with the previous one, I think this is going to be useful for lymphatic therapists, physical therapists, and lipedema patients. So anybody who's interacting. And we have some pretty exciting things coming up, like we have Matt Carmody, who's going to be speaking, talking about a self-assessment for lipedema, including palpation and things like that. So how you feel your arms, or your legs or wherever else, how to go through that process, and then how to interpret it. Like, what is that thing you're actually feeling? Because it's so difficult when you don't have anything to compare it to, unless you have like, okay, if it feels like this is kind of where you're at. If it feels like this is where you're at. So I'm pretty excited about that because like the more people who get a feel for how to do that, the easier it gets to spot lipedema in yourself and other people. So there's that aspect, but on the whole, it's talking about the holistic approach to lipedema management. So we're talking about the spiritual aspect in terms of how you connect to yourself and the world and the community and all of that good stuff, and the social and learning from your peers, lots of interaction on that front, which is always fun. The physical, of course, which we talk about a lot, and we'll talk about during this live as well. And the mental, psychological, the emotional, all of these aspects are super important. And the more that I interact with the lipedema community, the more I'm glad that we take this approach, and the more I wish it were the approach for any medical issue, because there's so much, like, it's one thing to say, like, okay, like, eat really well, eat in a way that makes you feel well, that's good for your body, all of that. But then that comes with a lot of baggage in terms of, well, what if you've been dieting your whole life and it didn't work? And that's scary to approach that concept again of nutritional management. Or, you know, there's a bunch of different things you can do for lipedema, including KT taping and manual lymphatic drainage and compression and surgery and all that stuff. But that's also a lot of stuff. So getting together during the event and navigating it together as a community, where you don't feel so isolated or like you're the only one in the world who has the struggles that you have, and learning from other people who've been in it, or mentoring people who were where you were a year ago. Like that is such a wonderful thing to get that opportunity. So that is our September event encapsulated, and it's cool. I just love it.
Yeah, Gail, any other things you want to say about the event?
I would. First of all, I'd like to say that right now it's only $97. It's a 75% discount. We do not know when the early bird special is going to be lifted, and we're going to go to a higher price. However, just listening to Siobhan say, "Oh, Dr. Matt Carmody is going to be there," and walking us through self-assessment, I'm thinking, "Oh, what would I pay to go to a course where I can learn self-assessment on lipedema? I'd pay $97."
Yes.
Yeah, for that alone.
Just for that one talk.
Just for the one talk.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like how can we get all these people? I mean, Dr. Roxon's going to be there. Stanley Roxon's going to be there. Bill Rapichi's going to be there. Of course, we've got Lisa Dury, Catherine Sayo, Siobhan Huggins, this other person, what's her name?
Leslyn Key. Nadir Ali is also going to be back with us, which I'm super excited for.
Dr. Nadir Ali. I mean, I'm almost beside myself when I think about who all's going to be there, and along with a community who can interact with them. You know, when you go to a live event, the speakers often, not always, not all of them, but the speakers often during breaks, they mingle with the crowd. And I know when we went to the collaborative science one, the citizen science one that we all went to in March, I mean, we were in there touching and talking to Dr. Nadir Ali and Ken Berry. And
in Gail's case, emphasis on the touching.
I thought it was going to be on the talking. I'm like, both. I must touch to talk. Anyways.
Yeah. And so, I do the same thing, though, because whenever I go to a conference, especially if I'm talking to doctors or researchers, I will encourage them, like, touch my arms in this specific way. So teaching them how to palpate and be like, memorize that feeling. Because if you know what that feels like, you can use that in your own research, because who knows, you probably have people with lipedema in your studies, even if you don't realize it. And you probably almost certainly have patients with lipedema and don't realize it. And if you can do that palpation and recognize it, and then if you happen to have a one-pager perhaps that can lead you through, maybe we should diagnose this person.
Oh my gosh, not a one-pager.
It can seriously change your practice, because those frustrating patients that you're trying everything with, and it's like, are these people not complying? Am I getting something completely wrong? It might just be that they have lipedema and you can actually help them.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And it's really exciting. Now, I do have a question for you, Leslyn. And I don't know if we've totally discussed this or not, but can I get like some type of extended credit if I come to this course or come to this event?
Well, if you are a healthcare provider, we are not going to be doing official like CEUs or CEMEs or something like that, but I'm an occupational therapist. Every year, I need to have a certain number of continuing education units, and it may not be from an official provider that is recognized by my professional organization, but I pretty much still get credit for it. So anybody who comes to our conference and would like an attendance certificate that says the number of hours that they participated in the kind of content that they got from this event, they will be provided with that certificate, and you can submit it to your organization. And quite often people are getting credit for this, and that you need to show that you're keeping up your knowledge in the industry. So that will be available for upon request for anybody who needs that.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know that Lisa, our very own Lisa, hi, it's been so long. She's been on vacation and look, she's
Mhm,
here. What a great deal for a
mhm,
transformative experience. She's
mhm,
excited. And she does Lipedema Simplified transformed her life. I do know that.
mhm.
And, and so I'm so glad that you're here, Lisa. So Leslyn, when when Siobhan was talking, she said something about a one pager.
Oh, yes. Well, we've developed a one pager for being able to identify and assess lipedema symptoms and possibly get a diagnosis. And this was made out of our paper that we recently published with Dr. Stanley Roxon and other renowned experts on lipedema from around the world. This was a proposed framework for case definitions of lipedema for research, but this can also just be used for diagnosis. And so what we've done is we took all the key points from the paper and put it on this one-page document that you can take to your care provider or your healthcare provider, and they might be able to diagnose you from that, or bring them to the heart to heart, and we'll go into that with a more detail, or read our paper and learn about it in more detail. But just that single presentation by Dr. Carmody, when basically he's showing you how to palpate and look at various features of lipedema, how to assess an ankle or a wrist cuff, how to feel for the nodules of fat in the tissue. And so all these types of things, he's going to be walking us through it. So you can have that one pager in your hand as Dr. Carmody is taking us through that. It's going to be an exceptional experience, very enlightening for both the patient and the healthcare provider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the one pager is, for me, when I look at it, it's very special. It's so super special to me because there's there's a front side and a back side,
Yes.
but I don't know which is which because because for
What's the
me,
front? What's the back? We don't know.
right, what's the front,
They're
what's
both
the back?
equally important. So
That's
whichever
right.
you want to be the
Exactly.
front can be the front.
So on both sides. So on one side, it has it's for your doctor or your care provider to read through, but it will
Mhm.
also benefit you to read through it as
Sure.
well,
Mm-hmm.
so that you have a conversation. You can have a conversation with your health provider. And on the back side, or the other side, it's for you as a patient or your healthcare provider, because
Mhm.
it's listed in patient terms like I buy pants if I can get them to fit my rump. They're so big at the top, I can't wear them, right? I have to adjust the top. Or if I can get my normal size shirt, my left arm doesn't go in, right? Or I have to get certain types of fabrics. And this will actually has pictures. So it's very special to me.
Mhm.
And when you look at the pictures, you'll go, yeah, those are my legs. Because you'll see this picture of your legs. And I look at the picture and I go, those are my legs. No, really, those are my legs.
Mhm.
That's my bathing suit. That's my tattoo. Send it to me. I'll sign it. Send it back. Self-addressed envelope. Yeah, it has my hair. It's me. And I was so startled. And for me, what it was when that happened, because when I see myself on that, it verifies, yeah, I do have lipedema because I'm self-diagnosed.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I told my doctor, this is what I have, right? And she goes, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
sure. Anyway, I'm self-diagnosed. And so by looking at this, and reading the comments on it, going, check, check. Nope, I don't have ankle cuffs, but I have wrist cuffs. They're not as prominent as they used to be, but they're still there. There's definitely a
Mhm.
wrist cuff. So I can look at these pictures and go, yep, that's me. That's me.
Mhm.
Now I can discuss the whole thing with my healthcare provider.
Mhm.
So it's a very, very important. And like Lisa says, this one pager is a game changer for patients and healthcare providers.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hashtag grateful. Thanks,
Well,
Lisa.
Siobhan, why is it so important for someone to get a diagnosis?
Well, there's a couple reasons. For one, for me, it was a big psychological component. And I did the same exact thing when I had an adult onset egg allergy, because my doctor was like, well, you could just go forward with the assumption that you have it. And I was like, but I want to know. I want to know what I'm dealing with, and I want to understand, because then I can research and say, this is what I'm dealing with, and this is what's happening in my body. So there's that component. But then there's also that there's a lot of care that can be covered by insurance. Some things more easier than others to get covered, but that comes down to having a diagnosis. And that could include things like compression in some circumstances. It could include surgery. It could include referrals to PT. There's a lot of things that may be coverable by insurance, but you need to have that diagnosis for it to be covered. And the other thing is, not only with yourself, but when talking to other people, it can sometimes help to just say, this is what I'm diagnosed with. Like, there's no arguing. Because I've had people approach me and say, well, no, you're just making excuses. Like, this is why you're bigger. And it's like, I have a diagnosis right here. And second of all, because I have looked into lipedema and I understand what the symptoms are and the distinctive signs of it, I can point to different things in myself, like the nodules and the cuffing and all of that. And that diagnosis is just another layer of, I know what I'm talking about. I know what is happening. So leave me alone.
Yeah.
Well, and what happens for both you, Gail and Siobhan, when you guys are live at a conference and you're talking to other people, or when, well, do I have lipedema? You're handing over your body parts and saying, well, feel right here. Can you feel what's in here in my arm? And then they can compare and feel themselves. I mean, so you guys are having those kinds of discussions to help people see and recognize what they may or may not be happening in their own bodies, because you're letting people feel you. As we said, that's what Gail's thing is. There's a lot of touching when you get together with Gail.
Well, and like Lisa said, this one pager also shows the arms. And
Yes,
so
it does.
many
It
times
just talk about the legs.
we only see the legs.
Yes.
And it's important for us to really know what a nodule feels like,
Yes.
right? Because my doctor, she said, when I told her this is what I have, here's a book, here's a CD, watch the documentary kind of thing. And she got really excited. And she goes, can I touch your arms? I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I don't care where you feel. Feel it, right? And she felt it. And at first she didn't palpate very hard. And then she looked at me and I said, it's okay, dig in. And of course, at that point, I said, and that's painful. But she was in there. She's like, that doesn't feel like I thought it was going to feel. So seeing a picture, hearing about it, and then actually feeling it hands-on, then they're going, oh, yeah, that's what and then she says, I've got other patients who have this.
And then
Becky wants to know, how do I
understand-
print this out? How do I get this printed out and give it to my doctor?
Yeah. So I did so what you do, and Becky, being self-diagnosed is how majority of us are.
Yes.
And then we go looking for an official diagnosis. If you go to that link that I put in, and you can open it, and you might have to register to get it, and download it onto your computer, save it in one of your files. You should be able to print it out because it's a PDF, correct?
Yep.
Yes. If,
Yeah.
if someone is with us right now on their phone, is there
Yeah.
something they can do on their phone as far as being able to like paste the link and email it to themselves, or how would they get this if they're on their phone?
They can also do
On
it on their phone. Yeah, so they can also do it on their phone. They would just visit the link, and what you do is you fill out the information. So you put in your email, and it'll email it to you,
Okay.
the PDF, and then you can print it out from your computer. Or what I'm going to do, so I can give it to my lymphatic therapist, is I'll email it. I'll
Yes.
forward that attachment to the FedEx
Yeah.
email, and then print it out at FedEx because I don't have a printer.
Yeah, and I will, and I print right off my phone, or I
Oh,
email,
nice.
stuff to the UPS store.
Mhm.
You just say, please print 4 of these or whatever.
Mhm.
Prefer, and tell them that you prefer it on colored paper,
Yeah.
colored
Yes.
printing, and go down and pick them up. UPS, FedEx. I don't know if you guys have Kinko's, but
Yeah.
Staples, you can usually always email it if you don't have a printer, or
Yeah.
you want a higher quality to hand out.
Yeah.
Or
If you want hard
sometimes,
stock and color. Yeah.
and sometimes libraries also have printers you can use.
Yep. And like Lisa says, load it into your healthcare portal. Oh, wait a minute. I put the wrong one up.
But that was also a good one too.
Thanks, Be Humble.
Yeah.
Oh, Be Humble, you're so sweet, and I'm not so humble. So
And I just want to comment on Kendra's comment, who said the early bird special is amazing, but still a struggle for me to afford currently. Is there any scholarships or grants to help with the cost? Yes. So you can reach out to the support email, or I think Isla or Catherine, and just mention that you'd like to sign up for a scholarship if one is available, and we can work something out with you, no problem. So we don't want finances to be a barrier for anybody. So if you
Right.
need that support, even if the $97 is too much, because lipedema itself can be expensive, and we understand that, just reach out to support@lipedema-simplified.org. Just explain what's up, and we'll get you taken care of.
Yes.
And you do have to remember that there are people out here who can afford more than others, and so that's where we get our scholarships from.
Mhm.
Often it's from our other community members who really want to be your angel fund person.
Mhm.
They want to help you get what they get as well. So don't be shy about asking for a scholarship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
It
if
might
you
not
want
be,
to give a scholarship, if you want to
yeah,
be one of those angel people, then you can
Yes.
also reach out to support@lipedema-simplified.org and just let them know.
yep. It's
Mhm.
because this community we support each other. We work with each other, we help each other. That's what we're all about.
Mhm.
Making sure the community is cared for. So thank you for
Anna
that.
talks about that she has a diagnosis of lymphedema and thinks that she also has lipedema as well. And is compression the only treatment? Well, that happens to be the topic of the webinar that's coming up on
Yeah, so
August.
go to that webinar.
Definitely come to that, and come to the heart to heart, because that is the topic of the heart to heart. All the various things you can do for holistic treatment to live your best life with lipedema. But just for right now, because we were having that nice discussion before we came on about, well, that taping stuff that Gail just absolutely loves. Her physical therapist puts it on her, and it helps. And it is, as he said, as your therapist said, it activates the lymphatics. Tell people about this taping that you're doing.
Okay, so I thought Leslyn was saying that I love my physical therapist.
Well,
Yes.
that too.
I I was one of his first patients, and was his one of his last patients today. I see him quite often just simply because he helps me take good care of my body. One of the things that he does is he uses KT tape on me, um, and so he taped me today
There it is.
because I'm having
You
problems.
chose the blue.
The turquoise. He has all his colors up there, and we discussed about what was going on with my arm. I'm having a hard time with reaching across my body. I feel it here, in my arm, and we were talking about different exercises, and then he said, "Let's support that because I know you like the tape, and I do. I can wear it for three. I can wear it through 3 or 4 showers. So, if I shower every day, it lasts about 4 days, and if I shower well, I shower every day. But if I were to shower less often, every other day or whatever, it lasts about 3 showers worth. And what happens with this, and I said to him, I said, "Why does it work today?" I mean, flat out said, "Why what number 1, why do I love it so much? And why does it work?" And he says, "Well, you love it so much because it it works with the lymph system." And he knows that that's an important topic. We talk about
You're a
lipedema.
fangirl of the lymphatics. We all know.
I'm a lymphedema fangirl person, and he loves me and I love him and he cares about me. So he says, but it works with the lymph system. And what it does is it helps stimulate the lymph, because it's like there's motion in it and there's stretch in it, and so it stretches the skin, right, and it lifts, and it's at the same time supporting fragile tissue. And so when we were talking about it today before we started, we talked about other things that we could use this KT tape for. Like Siobhan, you were talking about, you see women use it during pregnancy. I have had it used on ankle swelling when my ankles get really swollen and I get that sack of fluid over my ankle bones. He will get in there and he'll tape it for me, and he takes it in a direction. He knows the stretch amount and everything for different things. I mean, they're the people who use it, the physical therapists who use it, they'll teach you how to reapply it if you can't get back in to see them. But what it does is it because it stretches that skin and there's motion every time I move, there's motion, it works like compression.
Yeah. And what's cool with the pregnancy stuff is that a lot of the like pregnancy bands and stuff I see are really like thick and they don't look very comfortable, but the tape is just a bit across the bottom and then 3 stripes up. And I watched a video of it and it like super lifted that belly. I was like, that is so cool.
Right.
And for me, I've got that lipedema belly where I've got lipedema tissue in my lower abdomen. So I used to be bigger and then I lost a lot of weight. And so I've got like this pouch of skin that's got lipedema tissue in it. And I was thinking, watching those videos, like that can't be very good for my lymphatics in that area. I would really like to give that some additional support. So I am going to talk to my lymphatic therapist and see if she's used to using kinesiotaping, and if we can try it. And if I like it, if I could use it in my arms, because I've tried a bunch of different compression in my arms. I don't like any of it. I like some of it for a little while, but then I had some that was like a band here and here. And so it did all up the arm without the backing. And I liked that, but it was making my hand swell. So it's like, okay, so maybe KT tape could be an option that's super lightweight. It's not going to bother me, hopefully. And it's just another thing to try because it's like all of it is super individual. And it's just like, okay, what's the next thing?
Some people have an issue with the adhesive. And so Lisa was just talking about that it's always good to take a little piece of it and put it on you somewhere and leave it there for a day or so, and then pull off and see if you have a reaction to it.
Right.
Before you do this big taping job that Gail just got, you want to know if you're going to get an allergic reaction to it before you have all that tape on you.
Right. And also remember that don't go willy-nilly on us, and don't just like take your whole body. I mean, seriously, I do things willy-nilly sometimes.
Mhm.
And I had my massage therapist watch videos and then tape me, right?
Yep.
And I pre-cut the tape for her and everything. And in the middle of the night, and she did my arms, and in the middle of the night, I woke up, my arms were so hot.
Yeah.
And all there were on each arm was 4 little strips.
Yeah.
I say little, they were narrow strips, and they went across my elbow back pad, a little lower, clear up onto my shoulders, right into my armpit. And she had followed the instructions almost to the T.
Mhm.
But she had stretch in it.
Yeah.
And with lymphatic drainage, with lymphatic taping, there's
There's
no
no
stretch.
stretch. Yeah.
And she had stretch in it.
Mhm.
And with those 4 little strips on both my arms, they were like super, super hot. It's like they just like everything was like all the circulation was there. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I peeled it off because she missed something. So be careful with it. It's a valuable tool.
There's specific patterns to applying it and specific ways to apply it. So make sure your lymphatic therapist is used to doing it, or used to investigating. Take a course on it. And the other thing is that I want to mention with KT taping is that at the Lipedema World Congress, there was either a presentation or a poster, I don't remember, but they were talking about using KT tape after lipedema reduction surgery to help with healing. And it seems like that was really useful as well. So that's another potential application.
And we combine modalities a lot. Taping goes really well under your compression garment, inside your pump. So think about how you can combine it and maybe amplify your results. But you really want to have it applied by someone who understands the principles of taping and can do it safely for you. When I was first learning how to do it, I mean, I always got some kind of response, but it wasn't always a response that the patient was looking for. So, it's really good to, take a course and really understand, like both of you are already saying, how much stretch, where to place it, which direction to put it, what configuration to cut the tape in. There is a lot to know about it, but it's usually just a weekend course that your therapist can take and possibly have another wonderful way to intervene with your lipedema.
And I know that people use it even if you're not going to use it for lipedema, like you might want to use it for before I found CBD, I used to wear a little patch right here on my arthritic
Yes.
my arthritic knuckle.
A cow eraser.
Thank you, honey. I got a cow eraser just now. And so there might be other reasons that somebody wants to use it on your body. It also helps me with my posture. Every now and then he'll put something to support a shoulder. I've had him on my ankles, plantar fasciitis. He's used it there. It just really depends on what I'm dealing with. So a physical therapist who knows how to use the tape can actually teach you why he's doing it or she's doing it the way she's doing it.
And also in terms of the latex thing, there are some brands that are latex free. So if that is a concern, you may just want to see if you can get that and still do the test on it and make sure it doesn't bother you. But
Yes.
that is worth noting. So that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Mary has a question. I think this is a good one. Or Mary has 3. This is Mary Hummel. I have 3 questions. Is anyone's stomach really hard and bloated? Okay,
Yes.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Does anyone ever feel pressure in your ankle and foot like it's going to burst?
Yes.
Yes. I also have terrible cramping in my same foot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. These are definite, I would say probably lymphatic related issues. And there is things you can do. It is really outside of what we can do in this Facebook Live, which we've already gone over in. But Mayor, I need you to email me and let's talk about this. So remember, Leslyn at lipedemaproject.org. Yes, let's talk about those things. There is stuff you can do, and it is lymphatic related. So excellent questions.
Yeah. And Mayor, you know how to get a hold of all of us. I know you do because I got an email from you the other day. So
Yes.
I know you know how to get a hold of us.
Please contact us and let's talk about that. Excellent question.
Guys, I gotta hop off because my laptop battery's about to die.
Okay.
Yep. Yes. And we went over because it was such a good discussion, but thank you everybody for being here, and we will see you next Friday.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, am I supposed to turn us off? Hold on a minute.
Quick, Gail, quick.
I'm trying.
Bye everybody.
Bye guys.